gets on here. Okay. I think we're good now. Hey, welcome back. If this is your first time checking out the channel and you like the videos, consider giving me that thumbs up, maybe even subscribe, totally up to you. But I'm Erica and I'm coming to you from Crushed. Yep, same thing as last week, leftover coffee and hemp milk. I didn't throw any cinnamon in there this time, but I did put chocolate oat milk just to add a little bit of sweet to it. It's pretty good. I'm definitely digging the oat milk. Before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to my dad. It's not only Father's Day, but it's also his birthday. How old is he turning? I love you a ton and I hope you have a wonderful birthday and Father's Day. Don't forget to give me that thumbs up. In this week's video, we're gonna look at planning that quick trip to Denver. And that includes breaking down our budget and also looking at City Pass, the website that I talked about in last week's videos. What did I say last time? Now I remember. So that we can lay out the different museums and attractions that we want to visit while we're in Denver. In next week's video, we're going to check out the hotel we stayed at and also the Air and Space Museum, which is one of the attractions that we booked under City Pass. At the end of this video, I want to leave you with a small clip of aerial footage over the city of Denver. All right, now that we have all of that laid out, let's go ahead and get started. So like I explained in last week's video, the reason why I came up with these small little trips is to just keep up that forward momentum and come up with something small that I could plan and just utilize to help break up that monotony and just kind of recenter, right? In this instance, we're driving about 7 hours from our current location. The most Adam and I have ever driven in like a 24-hour period is like 22 hours. And I do not like doing that. When I'm sleeping, he's driving, and when I'm driving, he's sleeping. For me, 7 hours isn't bad, especially if you're doing it with a partner. It makes the time go a little bit fast. Plus, along the way, you kind of look at, okay, how much gas do we have? So we always like to fill up about right under the half tank just in case anything happens, snowpocalypse or anything else. The reason why I'm covering budgeting at the beginning, we really want to look at, what we are going to be spending. And is it something that we can budget right now? It's better to look at what the budget's going to be and what you could potentially spend. That way you know what you're going to be spending when you're on that quick trip. The last thing you want to do is just go, unless you have like an astronomical amount of money in the bank, then go for it, right? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to get blindsided whenever you get to your location. You just willy-nilly start swiping and then all of a sudden you've spent $1,500 and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I spend my money on? Looking at that budget and planning beforehand is always a good thing, at least for our family. And those of you that are watching, if I jack up my math, you're looking at your own budget and you're looking at what you want your budget to be and you're adding it up on your own. Please, whatever you do, do not ask me to add up your budget for you, because that's probably not a good idea. You already know that I love going to museums and different kind of attractions that are similar to that. Just to learn something new kind of helps me get to know the area that I'm going to be visiting. When I was looking at planning my Denver trip, I looked at the different attractions that I wanted to go to and if I was willing to walk to those different locations or if they would be close to driving. When we were planning, I wanted to stay downtown. Where I'm currently located, as you can see behind me, we are not in the city. So whenever we go on these trips, I like to visit the city. I like to just dive in and get in there, and it kind of makes me a little uncomfortable, and I'm at that edge of my comfort zone. So you know that I like looking at Amex travel, also looking at that member travel privileges. Well, I had extra points and I used points for the Epic Bourne Hotel in Denver. I didn't have to pay anything for the hotel. I just had to pay, I believe, taxes. So that was easy. I was able to go through the app and look at what hotels were within that area next to what kind of restaurants we like to eat at, and I was able to go ahead and book that. So the fact that we're looking at driving 7 hours, you got to ask yourself, how much is gas going to be? So it typically costs about $40 to fill up the tank. If you're filling up your gas before you leave your current location, midway point of your travels, then you're filling up again before you leave that location, midway point on the way home, and then there's a potential to throw a fifth one in there. Let's say it's $40 to fill up the tank. $40 times 4, you're looking at $160 in gas. But then if you just throw in that fifth one, and that's about $200 in gas. So you're adding that to your budget. And then snacks, of course, whether we want to get energy drinks or whether we want to get something to munch on the way, are we going to get breakfast beforehand? You know, what's that budget going to be? We set aside about $100 for snacks on either end. If you're in Denver for 2 days, you're going to eat, you know, lunch and dinner one day, and then you're going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner the next day. So how much is it going to cost for 2 people for each of those meals? If you're looking at $50 per meal, so on that first day, you know, the lunch and the dinner, it's going to be about $100. And then if you're looking on that second day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's another $150. So you're looking at $350 in food. That doesn't make sense. That isn't math. I know that sounds like a lot, but remember I had that $100 for snacks on both ends. So $350 for food and then $200 for gas. So far we're at what, $550. And then I said I used points for the hotel, but I did have to pay for taxes. That's another $40. So now we're close to about $600. I'm missing the city pass, so I'm missing the attractions that we're going to see while we're there. And if you're only going for that 24 to 48 hours, you may not be able to see all the attractions, or you're hardcore and you're going to check out all of them. So right here on City Pass, we're looking at the different attractions. You've got the Air and Space Museum, you also have Botanica Gardens, and there are others here that you can see that I'm scrolling through and checking out. But for this trip, because it was only 48 hours, we're only going to check out a couple different places. We're going to check out the Air and Space Museum, and then we're going to check out Botanica Gardens. Also, whenever you're looking at driving, what time do you want to get there, and looking at what time those attractions close, and do you want to try to get to one on the first day? We wanted to visit the Air and Space Museum on the first day. We left early in the morning to make sure that we got to the museum before it closed. That way we could visit Botanica Gardens on the next day. And if you're looking at Fast Pass, it can be between $40 and $50 per person to see 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 attractions, depending on what city you're going to be visiting. For us, it was about $40 per person, so you're adding 80 to that 600. Now we're looking at $700 for the quick trip. You know, is that something that we really want to spend at this time? We try our best whenever we are setting up that budget to stay at or under, but I can't guarantee that that's going to happen every time. And I definitely don't want to say that we always stay under budget, because that is not the case. But at least setting up the budget and identifying what things you are going to definitely be spending your money on. And that way it doesn't set you up for failure, right? You want to go on this little quick trip and not worry about accidentally spending way more than you're supposed to. And that helps us determine, you know, what things are we going to be able to do? Are we going to be able to try something new? And you guys know that that is one of my favorite things to do. And I do always say, you know, get to the edge of that comfort zone. If you're getting too far from your comfort zone, you may ruin your trip, and that is definitely not what we want to do. We want to enjoy those large vacations or those smaller adventures. And of course, whenever I'm planning any of these trips, I like to do my best to put all of Erica into it. And I encourage you to do the same thing. So not only are you getting out there and you're trying something new and you're getting right to the edge of that comfort zone, and you're putting a good amount of energy into planning your adventure. You're going to enjoy it even more whenever you do that. And that's what I consider getting out there and just crushing it. That sounded okay, right?
Every soul, every season lives outside of status quo.